On Patreon, we can react to content that we can't really react to on YouTube, and we reacted to some shooting wrestling matches over there. So if you want to see one of the incidents that's probably on this here video, you can check out the Patreon for free. You don't have to pay to see the extra content there, I promise you. I'm not lying. Anyway, this is a video that is called the Joshi Wrestling Incidents. If you don't know what that is, I'm sure they're gonna introduce that to you nice and properly. If you'd like to react to the content yourself, you'd like to see without me reacting all over, click the top link in the description. Otherwise, you can come to Twitch and react to content with us live. Yes, live. Me and the flock are here. That's what I call the guys here. They're cool. They're my little birds. I like them a lot. Young ones, get the hell out of here. I don't react to content for young ones. Get out of here. I don't want you to get in trouble. I use very strong language. With that being said, let's get right into the video.
Japanese women's wrestling, or Joshi wrestling, has long been considered as the gold standard for women's wrestling. Throughout the years, promotions like All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling, GAEA Japan, and modern Joshi promotions like Stardom and Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling have showcased everything that makes Joshi wrestling so special, like the amazing technical excellence, hard-hitting style, high-flying death-defying moves, diverse wrestling styles, impeccable storytelling, immense dedication.
Bo. But what? Oh my god! I'm over here watching these moves and spots with the open mouth, like, oh my god, oh my goodness, it's real. It's real.
And discipline, as well as strong tradition. However, despite these things that have made Joshi wrestling some of the best in the world, there's a dark underbelly that belies the sport. Behind the glitz and glamour of exhilarating matches and cute wrestlers, there's a shadow that has existed in Joshi wrestling for all these years. There have been many jaw-dropping controversies and contentious issues that have left an indelible mark on Japanese women's wrestling. Join us today as we take a journey into the dark side of Joshi wrestling, where things sometimes get ugly. These are the Joshi wrestling incidents.
The goat.
This episode contains content that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Kairi Sane is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world today. She got international recognition and acclaim wrestling for WWE, and there she became a multi-time champion. However, her road to the top wasn't as smooth. She used to wrestle for the Stardom promotion under the name Kairi Hojo, and that is where she made her name, becoming a multi-time world champion. Before all this though, in 2014, she faced off against Nanae Takahashi, who is a respected Joshi legend, who has won multiple titles across several different promotions. Nanae Takahashi was brought up in the old school Japanese way of wrestling, which was much more rough and more strict. Kairi was brought up in the new school train of thought, which was more relaxed and prioritized the cute looks of the wrestlers. So they faced off in this match, and Nanae was working extremely stiff with Kairi, striking her in the face over and over again, even though Kairi did not strike Nanae in the face with her moves. Kairi would strike so much in the face that by the end of the match,
Ani. No fucking shot, dude. This isn't as bad as that one girl that we saw on the Patreon one though. Damn.
She had a cut on her cheek and her eye was so swollen that she couldn't open it up. After this brutal assault, she snapped more photos of her face, and she was bruised up very badly from all the brutal face strikes that she endured. This incident brought a lot of heat onto Nanae, but not much could be done because she was in a high position. This led a lot of fans to speculate the motives behind Nanae working extra stiff with Kairi, and a lot of people came to the conclusion that it was because of Kairi's good looks and growing popularity that Nanae was jealous of that she worked so stiff with her.
This is the one that we saw on Patreon. Ah, man. This is one video that actually had me straight up, like, speechless. I did not know how to, I couldn't even joke about it. Like, that's how real it was. I was not a fan.
I already made an in-depth video on this incident, so check it out if you haven't already.
Dude. Like, come on, man. Come on, dude. That one was horrible, man.
I won't get too deep into this incident, but it happened in Stardom between Act Yasukawa and Yoshiko in 2015. Basically what happened was Yoshiko was apparently jealous of the younger act's growing popularity, and this caused them to have the most brutal shoot of all time in the ring, where Yoshiko absolutely obliterated Act despite Act trying to fight back. Act Yasukawa was left with a broken cheekbone, fractured orbital bones, a broken nose, and a concussion, and she had to get surgery for these injuries and spent a few days in the hospital. This incident even caused Act to retire from wrestling altogether and caused Yoshiko and other wrestlers from Stardom to get fired because of their involvement. That's how serious it was.
It feels so weird seeing that incident kind of truncated like that. Cause like we watched it and it felt like it was going off for fucking ever, dude. Asuka, oh.
Asuka is one of the greatest women's wrestlers to lace up a pair of boots. She gained international fame in her time with WWE, where she became a multi-time world champion. Before she got to WWE though, she made her name in Japan under the name Kana, with her wrestling career starting in 2004. She was in a stable with Nanae Takahashi and other wrestlers called Passion Red. For some reason, one night backstage, Kana and Nanae got into an argument and fists were allegedly thrown. Passion Red then came to a sudden end. The falling out was famous enough that there were references to it throughout the Joshi world for months and years after. Allegedly, the fight between the two women was because Nanae accused Asuka of being sloppy and too stiff in the ring, with Asuka even breaking the orbital bones of one of Nanae's friends, Shu Shibutani. Asuka had a reputation for working an excessively shoot style and causing injuries. The anger that Asuka experienced from this incident and the bad press surrounding her led her to writing a manifesto in 2010. And no, not a manifesto of one of those mass shooters that kill many people, but a professional wrestling manifesto. Asuka found herself largely disillusioned and disgusted by the Joshi scene, which she found overly stylized and more focused on how women looked rather than the product itself. Asuka basically said that several wrestlers had no personalities coupled with negative attitudes. So here you've got a hotshot Joshi wrestler that isn't very respected and known for a stiff style, calling for a motion to improve the industry. Even though there was nothing wrong with her demands, she was in most folks' eyes a rookie overstepping her bounds, and similarly by extension bearing the industry by pointing out its very blatant flaws. This is a no-go in the Japanese society that values conformity, age, and seniority. Funnily enough, the manifesto shot Asuka to the top of the industry because essentially everybody hated her and wanted to see her get her comeuppance. So the manifesto that she wrote, trying to improve the industry, effectively turned her into one of the biggest Joshi wrestlers of the modern era. This next entry is not necessarily an incident, but an inside peek into the behind the scenes of old school Joshi training through the infamous GAEA Girls documentary. The documentary shows the brutal day-to-day life that trainees endure in their quest for wrestling superstardom. The documentary showed that the women were battling.
Oh, man. Oh. Like, it took me a second to realize what the fuck that clip was. Dude.
Trainees don't give me those in their quest for wrestling superstardom.
Oh, man. No wonder these girls got there and they so fucking tough. If this is the type of training they going through, the trainers just slapping you into your face and telling you bullshit. Do we have to watch this? We might have to watch this documentary. Yo. Yeah, we're checking this out. We're gonna check this one out. Someone remind me at the end of this.
The documentary showed that the women were battling each other for real, and that prospective wrestlers were routinely humiliated by their superiors. Japanese women's wrestlers Chigusa Nagayo and former NXT UK champion Meiko Satomura.
Oh my god.
The focus of this documentary shifts to a young trainee called Saika Takeuchi who's preparing for her test. Saika is straight up bullied by her superiors. It's not only Saika going through this, as the trainer psychologically abused and
Dude. No fucking way.
Her superiors. It's not only Saika going through this, as the trainer psychologically abuse and routinely take liberties on the trainees.
Yo, they
the
did
film
that
even
shit
shows
on
two
purpose.
other new trainees drop out of the dojo and go home after witnessing all the mental and physical abuse that was dished out in the dojo. The GAEA Girls documentary is absorbing, no question, but it is brutal and hard to watch at times. I already made a video on this topic, so check it out if you haven't already.
Shirai?
I won't get too deep into it, but basically,
early
on in Io Shirai's stardom career, she was arrested along with her boyfriend Nosawa Rengai in 2012 for smuggling marijuana into Japan. She was facing 5 years in prison for this, and her career would have ultimately ended. But the story is not as straightforward as it seems. Io was actually coming into Japan from wrestling in Mexico, and while she was in Mexico, a fan gifted Io and her boyfriend 2 portraits which they brought back to Japan. Japanese customs found marijuana was hidden inside of these portraits, which led to their arrest.
So they just didn't fucking know? Yo, that fan? I'm going back to Mexico and I'm whooping that ass. I'm finding you and I'm whooping that ass. There's no way. There's no way. I'm putting a post on story. Hey, who is the wonderful fan that gave me this? Who gave me this? I just want to know where you stay. I want to send you a gift. And I'm pulling up with the hands.
Io maintained her innocence and broke up with her boyfriend, but she had to spend a few weeks in jail. And after hearing their story, the public prosecutor's office decided not to press charges against her and Osawa. A few days after she was released from jail, a wrestler named Takayasugi made a confession where he revealed that he was behind planting the weed on Io and her boyfriend in Mexico because he hated and had heat with her boyfriend.
Yo, this man. You can tell he did that shit. Just look at his face. He did that. He did that shit. He guilty. He got a guilty face. Alright. Am I wrong for saying he kind of looks like a Japanese Shane McMahon? He's like a Japanese Shane McMahon. I shit you not. I don't know why. But if you see what I see, just let me know. He looks like a Japanese Shane. It's the mouth. I think it's the mouth.
Luckily, this incident didn't affect Io so much and she returned to stardom shortly after. Kagetsu was a prominent wrestler from the Stardom wrestling promotion.
Stabbing. Whoa.
She was a multi-time.
Oh, I heard about her in the Super Eye Patch Wolf video. She seemed really, really cool.
Champion and was a dynamic and charismatic figure in the world of Joshi wrestling. She was known for a distinctive look, exceptional in-ring skills, and captivating persona. In 2017 though, she had an incident with another wrestler called Tsukushi from the promotion Ice Ribbon, who was 19 years old at the time but was a 7-year veteran starting to wrestle at age 12.
What the hell? Wrestling at 12 years old. Did she go to that crazy ass training too? Yo, the Joshi wrestlers are mad tough. They are mad tough. Like, I wouldn't want to with none of them.
Kagetsu, at that time a Stardom wrestler, went to an Ice Ribbon show in which Tsukushi was supposed to wrestle. Backstage, Tsukushi and Kagetsu got into an altercation and Tsukushi tried to stab Kagetsu but failed to do so. Kagetsu, however, did walk away with some injuries, but Tsukushi was subsequently arrested and pulled from the Ice Ribbon show. The following day, Ice Ribbon held a press conference to announce the arrest and apologize for what happened. At a later date, Tsukushi apologized for the incident, and just a few months later, she was allowed back into Ice Ribbon. This entry is also to do with Kagetsu, as well as another wrestler called Hazuki, who joined Stardom in 2014 and was a very important wrestler for the promotion, winning several titles. Kagetsu was a big deal in Stardom, so much so that she was in charge of training all the women, and Hazuki was her best student, and then became her most trusted ally. In a sense, Hazuki, because of that, also had significant locker room power. Kagetsu's management style was compared to that of Bill Watts, meaning she was extremely abusive to her trainees. And that doesn't fly in today's world. Management even stepped in and told her to ease up, but she continued to do the same things. Most of the women in Stardom came to management to protest Kagetsu being in charge. A vote was held and Kagetsu was voted out as the head trainer and locker room boss. With her out of power, both Kagetsu and Hazuki lost interest in the company. This prompted Kagetsu to retire, as well as the impending restructuring of Stardom by their new owners Bushiroad, that saw wrestlers who were more conventionally attractive getting pushed more. All of this also prompted Hazuki to retire from pro wrestling as well. Hazuki famously exited from Stardom in a very bad way, linking up with Stardom's #1 enemy Yoshiko a few days before her retirement show. This was the same Yoshiko that beat Act Yasukawa senseless. Hazuki also was trashing Stardom online.
Oh no.
After a final match, in her speech, she trashed Stardom even more, even going as far to say that she didn't want to retire like this and that she hates Stardom. Many people speculated that her retirement wasn't actually her decision and she was forced to retire by Stardom because she had a secret lesbian relationship with Kagetsu, or
Can y'all chill? Why y'all to be a secret lesbian relationship? Ray Ripley, please. I joke, I kid. I'm not being serious. Come on, guys.
that her family had ties to the Yakuza, which is a Japanese mafia, and this is very frowned upon in Japan. Hazuki eventually mended things with Stardom and returned a few years later. And on the flip side, since Kagetsu's retirement, she has transitioned into a man, changing her name from Yukari to Yu.
Bullshit. Why is the whole gang calling me out? My crows.
I made a video detailing everything that happened with Hana Kimura, so check that out if you haven't. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but basically, Hana Kimura was a young bright prospect in the Japanese wrestling scene, wrestling for the promotion Stardom, where she was a big deal. She was so popular, in fact, that she joined the Japanese reality TV show Terrace House, which was broadcasted to millions on Netflix. On this show, there was a scene in which fans found it distasteful, and so they sent a slew of online hate towards her, telling her to take her own life and much more. This affected her mental health greatly. Terrace House ignored her deteriorating mental state and actually painted her more as a villain, which caused the online hate to just worsen. Hana couldn't take the constant stream of nasty messages and caved into the hate by taking her own life at just 22 years old in 2020. 3 men were arrested for bullying her online and ended up getting fines for their actions, but the fines were nowhere near enough. To this day, her mother Kyoko Kimura continues to seek justice for Hana. Julia is one of
That sucks, man. I think I did hear about that when it happened. I wasn't too familiar with her as like a talent or anything, but I think that was like in the small window of time that I was using Twitter. Like I definitely did see when that did happen.
Best women's wrestlers in the world today, and she currently wrestles in Stardom, where she has become a multi-time champion in the promotion. Her blend of charisma, athleticism, and technical prowess, as well as her undeniable presence that draws attention the moment she steps into a ring, have catapulted her into a standout performer and a fan favorite. However, the way in which she joined Stardom was very controversial and messy. Julia used to wrestle for a promotion called Ice Ribbon. She announced via Twitter that she was leaving the company. Then not so long after, she joined Stardom. But the problem was that she was still under contract with Ice Ribbon. Ice Ribbon made sure to make a noise about this, as they said that she had not told them at all that she was going to sign for Stardom while being under contract. It turns out Julia was supposed to wrestle a few more dates for Ice Ribbon before leaving the company. This was very controversial in the Joshi world because people saw it as Stardom, the bigger promotion, bullying the smaller promotion, Ice Ribbon, by poaching their talent who are under contract. Stardom denied knowing that Julia was under contract and said that she in fact approached them first. Stardom and Ice Ribbon eventually worked all of this out, but Julia joined Stardom much later than she had hoped. Plum Mariko was a Japanese women's wrestler who wrestled for the JWP Joshi Puroresu promotion. She was a technical wizard and submission magician. However, throughout her career, the wear and tear on her body took a toll on her. In her later years, she was becoming very forgetful and would often have to go over the match sequences she was wrestling in numerous times before actually performing. Mariko had suffered a number of concussions during her career. During her final days, it was clear she wasn't 100% healthy. Despite her forgetfulness, she continued to press on, and she competed in a match in 1997, but during the course of this match, her opponent delivered a Liger bomb to her, and she was supposed to kick out, but she just laid on the mat, and the referee had no other choice to make the 3 count. After the match, Mariko was still motionless on the mat, and the crew immediately realized she was seriously hurt. She was rushed to a nearby hospital where she was in a coma, and a few hours later she was pronounced dead at 29 years old. It was later revealed that Plum Mariko had been suffering with an abscess on her brain. It was determined that Plum Mariko didn't die from the Liger bomb she took in her last match, but a considerable amount of brain trauma throughout her career. Plum Mariko was the first wrestler in Japan to die in the ring, and the second was another Joshi wrestler called Emiko Kado. Emiko Kado was a young up-and-coming women's wrestler who wrestled for the promotion ASEAN and made a debut against Japanese women's wrestling legend Aya Kong in 1999. However, her wrestling career would only last a few months, as Emiko would go on to wrestle about 14 matches, losing every single one of them. Despite the losses, the ASEAN promotion thought highly of her potential to one day be a star for them. And a few months after her debut in her 15th professional match, She took a back suplex, hitting her head hard on the canvas. She remained unconscious and the match stopped for medical personnel to attend to her. She was rushed to a nearby hospital where she received emergency surgery on her brain. She was in a coma for approximately 9 days before she died from her injuries, which was bleeding from her brain. She was just 23 years old at the time of her death, and she was the second wrestler in Japan to die from in-ring action, with the first being Plum Mariko 2 years earlier.
Park, you going to hell twice.
This next entry is kind of a bonus because it wasn't an incident in Joshi wrestling, but an incident with a Joshi wrestler in Riho. Jim Cornette famously has not been a big fan of Riho since day one in AEW. He often criticized her for being less than 100 pounds and being pushed too hard in AEW. He also notably doesn't have much respect for Japanese women's wrestlers. He doesn't find Riho as a believable wrestler, and he constantly berates Riho for it and anyone who supports her. He even went as far to say that Riho was only booked strong in AEW because Executive Vice President Kenny Omega has a Japanese schoolgirl fetish. Kenny Omega famously spoke out against all of this. All of Cornette's criticisms of Riho seemingly rallied his fanbase to send abuse to Riho, with some even going as far to send her death threats. All of this online abuse caused Riho to deactivate her account, causing wrestling fans to blame Cornette for this incident. Cornette addressed all of this on his wrestling podcast, but he didn't apologize, and he even brought up Hana Kimura ending her life in a disparaging way in relation to Riho. Wrestling fans did not like this and hated on Cornette even more. Riho has still not returned to Twitter till this day. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please check out other videos, and also...
Yeah, I definitely got the hell up off of Twitter. Not because anything like that, but like, it does nothing productive for my life. But this video was insightful. I'm actually surprised that that they had some actual deaths in the ring like that though. I'm not like, I'm morbid, I'm weird, but I don't go looking for shit like that, you know? Like, I don't go looking for deaths in the ring, so that was surprising to hear about, but I definitely gotta see that what's the name of that little that documentary? GAEA Girls, yeah, we gotta see what that is. We're gonna check that out on Patreon for sure. You did mention that powerbomb earlier, you did. That was fucking spooky, dude. That was spooky. And yeah, we're still gonna get Shane McMahon mouth for setting up EO like that. That was crazy. That was crazy. But if you guys like to support the original upload of this content, click the top link in the description, show them some love. Click the bottom link to react to content with us live on Twitch, and if there's any content that we do that you can't see on YouTube, you can check it out on Patreon. No, you will not see ghost titties there. We're not doing that. But there is content that I can't upload to YouTube, like full matches and botchamanias and all the other stuff, for free. Just go on Patreon. Click it. Click it. Like I said, it's not Shane, it's Chosen. That's the dude from 2K24 and 25, right? I vaguely remember that guy. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.